only marketing framework you're ever going to need, customized to your energetic blueprint. That's what I want to talk to you about in today's video. And apologies up front, this is going to be a little longer than normal because there is a lot to cover. And I want to make sure that you energetically are getting all the things that you need. So if that's not your jam, bounce from here. Otherwise, just jump to the chapters that make the most sense for you. But please, please, please do not skip the 4 pillars that I'm going to walk you through, because that is the marketing energetic blueprint that you need to do the things that are easy and fun for you. And hey, if we haven't met, I'm Lise Cartwright, founder of Hustle and Groove, and I have worked with over 1,000 creative entrepreneurs and helping them ditch social media and make daily sales. So let's dive in to all the amazing marketing goodness that is about doing things that feel easy and fun, doing things that feel aligned, and really doing the things that energetically you're excited to do. So before we dive in, I want to give you just kind of a brief overview of what this framework actually is. And I often refer to it as the marketing by design method framework. And it all starts with human design. That is your energetic blueprint. That's where we start. Now, why human design? Well, you can go back and watch a number of videos where I've already talked about why I believe human design is the key to unlocking a business that's easy and fun for you. Now, emphasis on you, because we're not here to copy what everybody else is doing. We're here to do the things that we want to do in the way that we want to do it. And that's why human design is the first pillar in the framework. The second pillar is all about authentic content. Now, this is not about generating content for the sake of generating content. It's about generating content that has a purpose and does a job. And we're going to talk about what that looks like in the rest of this video. Then the third part of this framework is natural visibility. I feel like you're starting to get a theme here. This is not about pushing ourselves in front of people. This is about being discovered when our ideal clients are actually looking for us. That's what natural visibility is all about. So we're going to talk about that too, and I can't wait. There is a really special tool that you may or may not be aware of that makes this process really easy. And lastly, we need sustainable systems. Now, I personally am all into email marketing. That is one of the easiest and most sustainable system to implement, to set on autopilot, to be able to make daily sales in an evergreen way without you having to always be launching. Now, it does connect into discoverable content. So you do kind of get to decide on what the discoverable content pieces are, but sustainable systems, email marketing. Let's just keep it really simple. So let's dive into all the different pillars, and I'm going to go show you that now. Okay, so we are going to dive into the 4 pillars, and I'm going to walk you through each pillar individually. So we're going to talk about energetic alignment, authentic content creation, how to get natural visibility and discoverability, and then what sustainable systems look like. So the first pillar is that energetic alignment, and that is through human design. That is what I have found to be the most easiest way to do things in alignment, because human design really harnesses the components that are easy and fun for you. And each type has a specific energy around how it's designed to move through the world. So if you are a manifester, your energy is to literally tell people what you're doing. That's why your strategy is to inform. So all of your marketing is always going to be around informing. It's just literally telling people what you're doing, showing them what you're doing, and trusting that people who resonate with what you're saying jump on board. And then if you're a generator, you're moving through the world because you're magnetic. Everything you need will come to you when you are responding to everything external. So in your marketing, you can literally do whatever you want as long as you're responding to something external. So the idea didn't come from here, it came from your external environment, and your gut is so excited, right? You're super excited, you can't sit still. That is a clear sign that whatever it is that you're considering is right for you. And that's when the energy starts to align. Now, if you're a manifesting generator, which is what I am, and this is my chart, then you're going to do both, a combination of the manifestor and the generator. So you're always a generator first. So you're always going to respond to whatever excites you. And then you're going to tell people what you're doing. You're going to let them know. Behind the scenes works so well for manifesting generators. But first, you have to respond. So you will find that a lot of the things that you like to do are around your voice because it's very powerful. It's what makes you a manifesting generator. So don't skip that piece. Doesn't mean that you have to do verbal things, but your voice is powerful, so don't forget to use it. If you're a projector, then your energy is very much about waiting to be invited. But before someone can invite you, they have to know that you're the person that can help them. So there needs to be a recognition phase. The natural visibility part of this 4-pillar framework is where your strategy actually shines. So in order for someone to invite you, they just need to know that you're the person that can help. The way that that happens is you share your unique insights, gifts, strengths, talents with the world in whatever platform you want to do that in. So again, you're still following your energy, what feels really good for you, what feels energizing, and that's going to be where you end up. Now, if you're a reflector, when you look at your chart, everything is white. So you won't have anything colored in, everything is white. And your strategy is to look for the things that surprise you, right? Yes, you're meant to wait for a 28-day cycle. You're following the moon, but the key is every single day, the transits, right? The different planets transit through our chart. As a reflector, that is really important to understand because your energy is going to shift from day to day. And you get to tap into that energy and reflect back whatever is going on. So you get to go with the flow and you can literally change from day to day. It's why I also refer to reflectors as chameleons because you will adapt to your environment and you get to change based on what is happening in your chart in the transit. But ultimately, if you're making any decisions, you definitely have to wait that 28-day cycle. So that is the first part of our 4 pillars, and that is energetic alignment. Make sure that ultimately you're doing the things that feel easy and fun for you. And then the next part is coming up with authentic content. And the way that that happens is through reverse engineering. Now, I use what I call a messaging organizer, and this is basically how you're going to develop your discoverable content, your visibility content, based on what your ideal audience, ideal reader is struggling with as it relates to your offers. So basically what you want to do is start with your offer, right? So you've got an offer. Then the next thing you're like is, okay, who is my ideal customer for that offer? So you know those two things, right? You've got your offer, you've got your audience. Now, what are the biggest challenges that your audience is struggling through the lens of that offer? And this is what it says here, lay of the land through their eyes. So you're going to list out what those are. And then the next question is all about what does life look like after those challenges have all been solved through your offer, right? Everything comes back to the offer. We're not creating random content. We're creating content that authentically connects our message with our offers. So then once you've kind of got that, what you're going to do is come down to this area here where it says, what myths, beliefs, fears does my audience have around this offer, right? So those are the first 3 questions that you have to ask and answer. You're then going to flip this to what is your perspective around why they have those problems. So you can see here, it says your perspective on island A and B, which is challenges, what life looks like. So for island A, you're going to paste the list that you listed out here, and then you're going to add because after each point, and you're going to say, Because, and what is your perspective? Why do you think they have that particular pain point? And you're just going to list all of those out. Feel free to do bullet points, whatever works for you. For island B, you're then going to add how to go about before each of those points. So this is where you're going to say how to go about and whatever it is that has been solved, like what life looks like for them after the fact, then you can list those out as well. Basically, this is the magic. These two questions before and after those two things, this is where you're going to share your insights, knowledge, and wisdom. And this is where you're going to create your discoverable content, your long form content for a blog, a YouTube channel, or a podcast. Notice I didn't say for all three of those. Absolutely focus on one platform, and the platform that aligns with you energetically is the one that's going to work for you the most. And then the final one is the same thing. How are you going to address the myths, beliefs, and fears that they might be holding right now? How are you going to do all of those things? And then basically what happens is this messaging organizer becomes your content generator for each of your offers. If you do this for each of your offers, you will never not have content to create, because what you can do from there is once you've got that long form content done, if you do want to share on social media, you can then repurpose that into short pieces of content. And that becomes your authentic content generator. So that's the second piece of the 4 pillars. So then the third piece is all about natural visibility. How do you get in front of your target customer for each of your offers in a way that doesn't require you to be doing a ton on social media or running a whole bunch of paid ads? There is a space for paid ads in my belief. You get to do that based on what works for you and what your budget is, but you don't need to do it straight away. So I like to use this tool called Answer the Public. Now, I have a paid account. I do believe there's still about $100 for lifetime access. They may have changed that, but that's what I have access to. Now, what I want you to notice is when you first land on here, you'll see here that we've got Google, Bing, YouTube, TikTok, Amazon, and Instagram. Now, those are all the different platforms. Now, you definitely want to make sure that you change the country to where you want it to actually be. But basically what Answer the Public does is it's a little bit more than Google, right? It's a little bit more than Bing, like it's pulling from all of these. And obviously if you were writing, if you had a YouTube channel, I would probably focus on YouTube in terms of doing this search. We're going to show you that in a second. And if you were writing books, you probably would want to have a look at Amazon. And if you were doing stuff on social media, TikTok and Instagram would probably be where I would be. But basically, if you are doing a blog or podcast, Google and Bing would be where I would hang out, and, to a certain extent, YouTube for a podcast, because why wouldn't you do both a video and audio podcast? But obviously, if you're doing a YouTube channel, YouTube. Basically, what you're going to do is you've already done your messaging organizer. You know what the key kind of pieces are. Now let's find out what your audience is actually looking for. That's what natural visibility is all about. Being able to be found when your ideal customer is actually looking for the information, not paying for an ad and putting it in front of a cold audience when they might not necessarily be looking for this. This is natural visibility in its simplest form. So what you're going to do is put your overarching topic in here. So let's say you're a parent coach. And why I like Answer the Public is that it gives you quite a lot of information so that you've got options and you can, change how this looks. So let's just type in parenting and see what comes up. I like to go fairly specific, but let's keep this really simple for this example so that you can kind of see what is going on here. So what we're going to find is a whole bunch of questions, and then we're going to find some prepositions, some comparisons, and then some other kind of related pieces. I would start with the questions. This is where you will find all the gold, and basically the darker the orange, the more popular it is. That's kind of how that's giving you that information. So you can see more results and all of that. But you can see here, there are some questions that just aren't going to make any sense. Are parenting classes free? That's probably not a blog post or a YouTube video that you're going to record, but you might do something around, are parenting classes worth it? Like if someone is searching for that, then you could actually create content around that angle. This is what this is doing, giving you angle. Then you can start to see, can parenting cause autism? Now we start to get into the nitty gritty, but basically you can see how all these different questions could help you take what you've actually done in your messaging organizer and start to create content around this question. This would be your main long tail keyword question, whatever you want to call it. So from there, you can go in to see what people are actually asking about, and you can download all of this information. But it's just a really good start, and I'm a huge fan of using this as part of that entire framework. And then the last piece is creating sustainable systems. Now, I personally do that through email marketing, and then everything leads back to my email community. That's where I spend all of my time, and that's where all of my sustainable systems are set up. They all link into my discoverable content. I have a blog, I have a podcast, and I have a YouTube channel. I did not start with those. So please, as I'm saying that, remember, I've been in business since 2012, so I've been in business for a long time. I started out with a blog. I only added a YouTube channel 5 years ago, and I only added a podcast this year. So just be mindful of that. So all roads lead back to my email community. So all of my systems are designed around my email, and I set up a lot of automations to allow me to sell things at different points. So I have an ever selling evergreen automation for the Grow Nurture Sell Collective and the 1K Lab. And that is just full of email series that do various things, but basically presenting the opportunity for someone to buy from me every single day, but themed around the Grow Nurture Sell Collective is what this one's for. And this is just an entire automation that rinses and repeats. So once someone gets down to the Collective Series 5, they go through this automation, they get to the end, they get removed, and then they get re-added back in until they buy. That's basically how this works. It's nurturing people. So if I show you what some of these emails look like, it's similar for the 1K Lab. These are what I call nurture and sell emails. So I'm still selling inside every single email. It's just a little bit different when it gets to a 72-hour promotion window, which I do at the end of each of these series. These series are 6 weeks long, and this is all how everything's sustainable and how I'm able to make daily sales because I have these engines working in the background. Okay, lovely. Now that we've gone through all of those pillars, your action step is pretty clear. It's to sit down and map out this framework for yourself, to start with your human design, your energetic alignment, to then think about what your authentic content creation is going to look like, fill out that messaging organizer. Then sit down and figure out your natural visibility. What are the long tail keywords that your audience is actually searching that results in them finding your discoverable content? And then from a sustainable system perspective, this might look like you doing an audit of what you already have now, or it might mean having to put some things in place. Either way, you decide what that looks like. So if you're ready for coaching, accountability, and implementation, guidance, support, all the things, then I'd love you to come and check out the feedback loop. The link on your screen is where you can go, or you can just simply check out the link in the description. And I can't wait to work with you soon. And in the next video that is coming up on your screen right now, we are going to dive into how you can create a daily sales system that is 100% unique to you using your gifts, strengths, and talents. I'll see you there.